Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Premier Perspective. We were gone for a little bit, with the Euros and Copa America ending, not that much content to release. But now, with the Premier League less than 2 weeks away, we're going to be doing some team predictions. And as you can see by the title, this one is Manchester City's team preview. Um, Reigning Premier League champions, another great season in the Prem. They won the Carabao Cup, but unfortunately, no Champions League. So it will be interesting to see what are the expectations for City. Now, obviously, it's Champions League, but what can they improve on in terms of the Premier League, considering that they just won it?
Well, for me, in the Prem this season, I mean, City had overall played very well. In the Prem, I would say that not to leave it late. Sometimes they left it until late in the
Mm-hmm.
game, and they got a little lazy, knowing that they could drop points in certain places. But in the beginning of the season, when they started pretty poorly, those drop points easily could have destroyed their season.
Yeah.
Um, so I think more taking advantage and knowing that you need it now and not just, oh, we'll pick up those points later. I think that's what it comes down to in terms of actually playing wise. Um, I thought City played some of their best soccer in the Prem. Personally, I mean, in
Especially
the
under
Champions League.
Pep Guardiola and this
Oh yeah, for sure.
Pep era, it's. I feel like City's at a point now where there's like a certain expectation of like it's like you expect them to win.
You
And
do.
in a way,
Yeah.
you go into I go into almost every game with the mentality like City's gonna win this game. Like obviously there's the huge games that I'll be like, oh, you never know what can happen. But like most games I go in with City's gonna win. And especially like they've had poor starts to seasons. They haven't always played the best. They've grinded out some wins. But I think that if City at least play to the level that they did last year, while possibly adding a huge player like Harry Kane or Jack Grealish, like I said, if they play it into the best ability, I think they'll repeat the Premier League. But repeating the Premier League is very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, especially when you have teams that are going to want it back,
Yeah.
especially like Liverpool, who are going to get VVD back,
Mm-hmm.
and VVD that was a huge loss for them.
Yeah.
And Liverpool obviously
Chelsea
didn't have the
now
best season other than that. Chelsea
that are
now,
very good under Tuchel. United, who have had a great transfer window,
right?
signing Sancho and the day that we're recording this confirmed that Varane
Yeah, Varane,
is
that's an insane
which
signing
is a
for
great
Man
signing for
United.
them to pair the next to Maguire. We'll talk more about that when we do our video on Manchester United. Manchester City now, us both being fans, I'm asking you, Ryan, if you can only have one player to sign to this club this summer that you think is gonna give it that extra, the cherry on top for City to possibly win the Champions League this year, who do you think that player is?
Well, if you asked me a couple months ago, I would have said Erling Haaland. Now
Mm-hmm.
looking at who we have on the table, it looks like Haaland. The talks have died down.
Mm-hmm.
So now at this point, it's basically between Kane and Jack Grealish. Um, and both offer different things. Harry Kane, out and out striker, could offer a lot in the way that he did for Spurs,
Mm-hmm.
starting deep and then carrying and being able to get a lot of assists up top, and paired with a very talented technical players like Phil Foden, Riyad Mahrez, and KDB, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could really thrive out there. But Jack Grealish really impressed me, especially at the Euros, because I had never seen before him play for a
Yeah.
team other than Villa, and I didn't think he would be an easy player to play with, only because Villa relies so heavily on him, and he's
Yeah.
used to the game flowing very
Through
heavily through
him.
him. And you saw that happen through England. They did try to flow it through him, but not as much. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was good to play with,
Yeah, he
and
fit into that England
he did fit
system,
very well.
which was really good for them because, you know, with the amount of options that England had attacking wise, it was really interesting to see which players are going to step up. Now I know most of the games Grealish didn't start, but coming off the bench, in all the games that he came off the bench, thought he played really well. And I think yes, I really like Grealish, but I think the signing for City is Kane.
I
I
think it is
think
too. It would give them a little
that
more stability up
having
top.
that striker up top that is going to give you those goals no matter what would be so important for City. You look at this team with the creative players around, with Gundogan, with Foden, with Mahrez, with De Bruyne, with Bernardo Silva. Just to have that, and then Harry Kane, which, like you said, is a striker that can come deep, attack. You know, I just think that Harry Kane to City puts City at a crazy different level.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. Like you said, we have a lot of creative players, and Grealish would just be another one of those.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of other teams that don't have as much like creativity up top or don't rely so heavily on creativity,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that would be good for them, a little change up. But for City, I think a lot of our problems this season would have been solved uh,
With the
with
striker,
with a
like
striker,
Kane.
and just having like I don't really remember the last time. Well, I do, but like in recent years, I don't really remember this new Pep Guardiola City playing with an out and out striker successfully.
Yeah, it just
You know,
for
so
a
it'll be
lot.
interesting to
Yeah, that's what I'm
see.
saying. Like for a lot of Pep's time, Aguero, Aguero's peak was obviously before Pep.
Yeah,
Obviously, he had great times, lots of goals under Pep, but his peak time was before Pep. And besides that, Jesus has scored goals, but he's never really convinced anyone that he deserves to be that number one every single time. With a
yeah,
player like Kane, it just gives City that option every single game to have that striker, and they have the talent to put the players around him. Now, if you would have asked me a couple months ago, do I want Harry Kane? I would have been, questioning it, considering, the potential options of a players like Erling Haaland or Romelu Lukaku. But considering that both of those players look like the chances of them coming are slim to none, I think City does need to just take the chance and invest this summer. And if it means splashing a lot of money for Harry Kane, then I think that's the right choice. Now, final question that I have for you and for both of us, really, before we end this video. Um, well, actually, it's two. Who do you think is going to be this year's like MVP, the best player? And who do you think is going to be that breakthrough player that, shines like how we saw, I guess you could say Ruben Diaz? Because, I mean, we signed him. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was.
yeah. I didn't think he would be
So
bad. I didn't
I
think
knew
he
he was
would.
going to be good, but I didn't think he was going to be that good. So he was the player
Yeah.
that like was the surprise factor. So who would you have for those two spots?
Um, I think the surprise factor for me first will be whoever we sign and put in that striker position,
Mhm.
whoever it may be. I think whoever that is going to flourish in that position, because we know it'll be a player of quality, and it doesn't have to be a huge name, but we'll know who it is and know how they play. And I think they'll be able to fit into that system great because so many of these players that are even like anticipated to go, or just there are rumored to be linked with City. They want to play for City. They know how they play, and it's just such a beautiful style of play. So I can't put a name on it, so it's not a definite answer. But
Mhm.
whoever we sign, I think that'll be our breakthrough. And as for the other one was who do you think will be our MVP
Yeah.
this year? Um, well, that's just as good of a question.
Yeah. I mean,
Not gonna
personally,
say
I think it's the obvious answer that if he doesn't get injured, it's going to be De Bruyne. I think he's
yeah.
just the heart and
I
he's the
think
glue. Him or
I think
Diaz.
so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so
him
too.
and Diaz are the two best players on City. And I think
Yeah, totally, totally. I
that,
think Kyle Walker will have a great season too. Kyle
yeah.
Walker had an
Yeah. I thought
incredible Euro.
I was going to say, I thought he had such an amazing Euros
He did. He did.
with, yeah. So City, the quality's there. Everyone knows that. Pep Guardiola, amazing manager. Everybody knows that. I think just they're that one signing away, and I think that they'll be at the highest level that they've ever been. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. We want to do start basically our series of team previews. We're going to be continuing with other Premier League teams such as United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and can't think right now, but we're gonna do a couple of them before the season starts. So make sure to check those out when they come out. Once again, we want to say thank you to anyone shown support on the channel, and we'll see you guys soon.